Manchester United versus Brentford. Matt, we'll come to you first on this with Man United. Pretty much, you said you weren't giving it to them last week in terms of Champions League football wrapped up, but it seemed last weekend to be a pretty transformative weekend for that Champions League race, where I think the top five now seem to be secure. It's just what order they finish in. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, no, I never like to, uh, say things until they're absolutely certain. But you'd be shocked, wouldn't you, if United fell out of contention now. I think the game against Chelsea was just the defensive performance from the team. I wasn't over the moon. I think there was reports on Friday that first came out that Lenny Oro was injured and obviously subsequently didn't travel with the squad and ended up with Mazrui and Heaven as a centre back partnership, which I wasn't absolutely thrilled with. But in fairness to both of them, I know Heaven's got a lot of praise for his performance. He was fantastic, but Mazrui as well, because Mazrui was poor against Leeds, in the game before that. But fantastic in the middle. United had to ride their luck. Delap hit the crossbar, didn't he? Fernandez had one that he whipped just past the far post, and it's a game that could have finished level easily, but clean sheet away from home. Obviously, got the result that they wanted. And yeah, now looking forward, obviously, fancy that they're there. But Brentford are no mugs. Won the last two games between the two sides, and obviously, like you say, are in the race as well for Europe. So a big game. But there'll be no decision on Carrick. It doesn't look like until maybe not the end of the season, maybe until mathematically possible that Manchester United can't finish outside the top five. I think there's been suggestions that might be an announcement when it becomes certain that they're in the Champions League next season. It looks very much like it will be Carrick next season rather than anyone else. I know we spoke about that previously, and I'm leaning toward that being the right decision now. See how that goes on that side. But yeah, Maguire obviously will hopefully be back for this game. Well, he will be back unless there's any fitness issues that we don't know about. Carrick's press conference will be on Friday, so him coming back is a big boost for the team. I think there's been and Burmo's form's a little bit worrying. Maybe he hasn't been great recently. Going forward, it's gone a little bit. Obviously, Cunha scored a fantastic goal last time out, but yeah, we'll be looking for some improvements for some players in the final third. But Fernandez again. I know there's going to be different opinions in here, but if he doesn't win Player of the Year this year, I don't know. I know there's been Bernardo Silva and Declan Rice has done quite well, but Fernandez got to be Player of the Year, and hopefully let's hope that he breaks the assist record in these final games.
How many's off that now?
He's
I think he's
what is
job
he on
hungry.
that? Yeah, yeah. So
He's
he's.
got
I mean, he's
18 for the season, I think. And Henri got
got a
20,
great.
didn't he?
Yeah, he's got
Yeah.
a great chance, obviously, isn't he, from the games going? But even if he doesn't, it's still been. I mean, his chance creation is just through the roof, isn't it? I know he's had a lot of criticism in the past about his theatrics and his waving his arms around. And in fairness, he doesn't do that as much anymore. But it looks like he's going to stay this summer now. There was reports, wasn't there, last year? Obviously, got linked with a move away, but it would be disastrous for Manchester United in any realm to think that losing Fernandez would be a good idea. That'd be absolutely disastrous. So yes, hopefully he stays for a few more years at least.
Yeah, it does seem to be just around the club in general a more of a positive
Mm.
feel since Amarin left the club. As obviously that will come with results and everything, but you look at the happiness of the players, and Fernandez is playing arguably. Matt, you might have an opinion on this. The best football he's played at Man United, and his numbers, as you say, are always pretty elite. Whatever people say about his character, do you think this is the best Fernandez we've seen this season?
I think so, yeah. Obviously, the change when Amarin put him back in central midfield, I understood the reason he did that because the balls that he can play from deeper areas and his progression of the ball and is fantastic. But a player of that ability in terms of finding passes, you have to get him in the final third of the field, and his numbers are through the roof. I think, like you say, recently he has been at Chelsea. The thing that stood out for me the most was his his fitness is just absolutely through the roof, isn't it? I don't know the numbers behind how many kilometers he does a game, but it must be. He's just everywhere. In games where there's been a lot of talk about should he be the captain? Is he a captain of Manchester United? But sometimes it doesn't have to be the one that's screaming all the time, and it's the ones in the performances. In tough away games, can you help your team and can you fill in the spaces? He was filling in left back, right back, centre back dropping in, and he was springing forward. That was it maybe wasn't one of his best performances in terms of output. And obviously he got the assist for the Cunha goal, but his overall contribution to the team, I would agree, over the last certainly since Carrick has been there, has been just absolutely unbelievable.
Okay, a word on Brentford, Ben. What? what can we say about them? They're draw specialists at the moment, but you look at the table, they're level on points with Chelsea. Are they? And we've talked a lot about the European places and the prospect for a lot of clubs to get into Europe. A lot of clubs who haven't been in there for a long time, some who have never been in Europe. That chance is there this season. They've performed over expectations. We discussed last week about how many of us predicted them for for relegation or close to relegation. So whatever happens, a bit like Sunderland, I think they've exceeded most expectations this season and will have had a really great campaign, whatever happens. But they're in that position now. Will there be that tinge of regret maybe if the season ends in a bit of a damp squib? Aston Villa finish fifth, and win the Europa League, so that extra Champions League spot and that extra European spot is available. If they don't have a good end of the season, will they have that bit of regret, or is that maybe too harsh considering how good they've been for the majority of the season?
Yeah, firstly, I know Arsenal are bad, but Arsenal fifth place bad, Barney. I know you can't be going to that far. But
Is
yeah,
it
like you say,
mathematically impossible? Is it? Yeah, I think it is.
all this number crunching anyway. But yeah, like you say, Brentford have been the stalemate specialist. That draw against Fulham was I think they're fifth in a row and they're now winless in six. But they were denied that win by that Bernd Leno wonder save right at the end. One of the saves of the season, that one. But yeah, we were speaking in the Sunderland section about a few of us may have tipped Sunderland to go down. I think we were all saying last week I tipped Brentford to go down. A lot of us did, but they've proven us wrong. Thanks in no small part to Keith Andrews. What a job he's done. If Brentford get Europe, could we say he's up for manager of the season? That's another debate. I think he should certainly be in the conversation if Brentford can sneak into that spot. Can sneak in there.
I would put him in that conversation even if they don't, to be honest. I don't know
Yeah,
what you
yeah.
guys think.
Yeah, I thought they'd struggle this
Yeah.
season, to be honest. So
I can't think of too many managers who have done a better job exceeding expectations. We will put up there.
mm,
I think Arteta will be in the mix if Arsenal win the title. Guardiola will be in the mix if City win the title, but neither of them have been proper elite and exceeded expectations maybe as much as Keith Andrews did. So for me, I think he's firmly in the conversation, and if he gets European football, might solidify it.
mm,
Yeah, I think maybe Hurstler as well. Of course, Brighton are only 5 points behind Liverpool, Barney,
mm.
so they could still overhaul you. I mean, yeah, he should be
Yes,
in that
please
conversation,
do,
but
please do, please finish above them.
we're all hoping. Well, three of us are, yeah, but yeah, like you say with Brentford, of course, yeah, Keith Andrews, brilliant job. Igor Thiago, unfortunately, didn't fire last week, but yeah, they've got a really. We talk about good teams, but also good clubs. These clubs like Brentford, Brighton, Bournemouth, who are just they've got a clear structure in place. They're run so well. They recognise that they're mainly going to be selling clubs, but then they reinvest that money so intelligently. Like Brentford have done with the Burmo and Worcester and Ivan Toney money, and yeah, they've been a very. I think ever since they were promoted, of course, talking about another Arsenal defeat seems to be the theme this week. But yeah, from their first Premier League game 5 years ago, that Arsenal win, they've just been such a refreshing addition to the Premier League, Brentford, and I'd love to see them in Europe next season. Of course, they are ninth in the table. It's only 1 point behind Bournemouth, level with Chelsea. So it's certainly realistic. And you think, well, if they can just start turning these draws into wins, which will be easier said than done, given their recent penchant for draws. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, obviously difficult game this weekend against Man United. Then just got their fixtures up now. They're at home to West Ham, winnable, but West Ham fighting for their lives. Away to Man City, very difficult. Home to Palace is by far their sort of easiest on paper, and then away to Liverpool on the last day of the season as well. So difficult end to the season for Brentford. But yeah, one final push could turn this into well, arguably the greatest season in Brentford's history. So still lots to play for them.